All right, everybody. Welcome to the Hoops Rehab Show. Live reaction after the Lakers game and some Trae Young talk. How you doing, Eric?
Doing pretty good. That game put me to sleep tonight. It was a snooze fest. It was just never really competitive, but yeah, things are all right.
A bunch of Luka and nothing else with that team right there.
Oh yeah.
All right, everybody. I am the Gameinjurydoc, aka Dr. Evan Jeffries. On my right is Eric B. Mack. We are the team of the Hoops Rehab Show. You can find us on our YouTube page. That's where you can follow us live right now. You can also hit the subscribe button so we can get you all the content that we get up on the daily basis. After this pod, we'll go ahead and put that on the podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. It's the Hoops Rehab Show. Please download and follow the pod. All right, Eric, let's get right into this, man. This was a game that you're kind of excited about because of San Antonio and Wemby, obviously. But going into it, you knew LeBron was not going to be playing because it is a back-to-back. So what were your expectations kind of going into the game? And then we'll just kind of break down the game as we go.
Death, taxes, Miami and Chicago being in the play-in, and now I guess Lakers losing by double digits, right? I mean, it's their 12th loss of the season, all by double digits. It's got to be some kind of record. I remember last year OPC had a record of double-digit wins. Oh, it is a record? Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
So not, it helps out your clutch numbers, I guess, when you just lose by double digits. You don't have to worry about that. But yeah, I just kind of before we break it down, I think when you look at the schedule after beating the Grizzlies on Sunday, you look at that back-to-back against New Orleans and San Antonio, and you kind of already are thinking, oh man, you better get New Orleans because San Antonio, you think about the back-to-back, you think about just the challenge of beating San Antonio, that it's going to be tough and it's probably going to be a loss. So even though you're thinking it coming into it, it's still disappointing when you don't win and kind of show that kind of what they had tonight, and just kind of felt like a scheduled loss, and just can't have a lot of those anymore. I mean, you got to start beating some of the quality teams just to kind of boast some confidence, heading into the postseason.
Yeah, you got to start beating these good teams out there, man. I think we counted the wins. They've had 7 wins against 500 teams, 7 out of 22, or they have 23 wins, right? 7 out of 23 wins. So that is not going to get it done, especially when you get closer to the postseason. You got to beat quality teams. Luckily for the Lakers, over the next month or so, they're playing a lot of teams that are below 500. Yes, the Lakers are injured. Yes, we're missing Austin Reeves. We're missing Rui. Haven't really had Gabe Vincent. Obviously, LeBron didn't play because it's a back-to-back. However, this again, the way they've been losing and the way this season has gone, it shows you that they have to do something about this roster. No matter what, I mean, health is one thing. That doesn't matter. Because if you get everybody healthy, I don't think this roster can truly contend alone for a championship.
Yeah, I mean, yes, injuries are just kind of hurting the Lakers right now, and then LeBron being out. And it was going to be a tough challenge to beat San Antonio tonight. But it's just we're going to just keep on saying this for all the back-to-backs. There's 5 left, right? Is that what we're going to do? And so we've talked about it. We'll see if there's a trade out there and things of that nature. But you look at a team like Denver, right? I mean, they have all the excuses in the world. They went into Boston and they won tonight. And, you just got to win those games sometimes. And I get it. It's the Lakers, and teams kind of maybe it's just imaginary in our minds, but it does seem like teams still to this day, wake up and play tough against the Lakers. I mean, hell, San Antonio lost yesterday to Memphis, so I'm sure their fans are probably annoyed that they lost to the Grizzlies last night. And to be honest, if I had to choose a 1-1 record, would probably rather lose last night and win tonight, just to kind of maybe finally beat, pretty good team. And so last night was a tough one too. I was like, man, we were talking about it. I was like, you better get this one because you gotta get one. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. They look like we've had Laker seasons where they struggle against bad teams, and we've kind of been like, man, you gotta beat the bad teams. Like, what are we doing? We'd have such a better record if we beat this team, that team, right? You look at the end of the year, man, we lost to the Bulls twice, we lost to this, so at least that they're kind of handling business. So that's not a bad thing, but you got to at least go 500 against these 500 team or 500 and up teams, in my opinion. So you dominate the teams that you should beat and you go 500 against the other teams. Right. And so I don't think Lakers are at that. And so, yeah, there's some work to be done.
Yeah. I think that's, just a problem in general that, like, do you manage LeBron's back-to-back? Like, should he have played the New Orleans one or should he have played the San Antonio one? But you can't really predict how his body's going to really feel, right?
Yeah.
So he's going to wake up, likely decide if his body's too sore, and then he's not going to play. You hope to maybe get him in one of these back-to-backs at some point, but likely a 41-year-old, that's not going to happen, right? So you have to have you have to have some talent around him. You gotta, obviously Luka's doing his thing. It's gonna help when Austin's back. But is there a move out there that will alleviate some of this? Or even if you traded for just say, Herb Jones, does that really essentially do much for this team when like LeBron's out, when you're offensively you struggle and Herb Jones is not really like a scorer? You know what I mean?
Yeah, he didn't, like last night, he didn't have that great of a game. I think the guys are going to be able to get, it's just going to be a compliment. I don't think it's going to be someone that's going to fill in for LeBron when he's out, or like, I think the Lakers are going to have to be healthy first off. And then you add like a piece or two that's going to maybe hopefully kind of take you into that contender range, right? Unless there's just something out there that we would be caught by surprise. That happened to us last year. Just probably not going to happen 2 years in a row. You know what I mean? So I think Herb Jones will still be solid, but yes, you're right. To think that he would have changed everything today with having Reeves out and LeBron and Rui and well, I'm assuming Rui would be gone if that trade happens, but you get what I mean. And so I think they'll still need to be they'll need to be healthy, and then they'll just need just someone to kind of just have a little bit of athleticism out there, right? And so, yeah, we'll see. I think as a lot of teams are going to be looking at New Orleans, right? Got some couple, pieces there. And it could, if there's a bidding war, it's going to be tough, right? But Luka, speaking about going to sleep, I mean, Luka scores 38 in his sleep, right? 38. Did he get 38, 10 and 10 tonight? So, I mean, he did his thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Triple double. So, I mean, you can't ask for more from him. And just in raw reality, I mean, you look at the lineup, you have Marcus Smart with 2, Vando with, what do you have? 4, right? Yeah. Ayton, who's a person that you would expect to step up, has a poor game, right? He has 9 points. Obviously, he can't feed himself. Sarcasm. But in general, right? Like, you're not having these players that you need to step up, and that's going to be a problem kind of moving forward. I want to talk a little bit about San Antonio and what they're doing. Wemby's still on a minutes restriction coming off the knee hyperextension, and when he comes in, his minutes he's so effective, right? Like, last night, what do you have? 30 and 20 minutes or something like that, 24 minutes. So just in general, the San Antonio, they have so much talent, so much young talent. OKC, they have so much young talent. And when you look at the Lakers, there's a void of that young talent. Yes, Luka is a 27-year-old. And young, Austin Reeves is, 26, 27. To me, they don't seem young. Like, when I think of young players, I think of those two teams. No matter what the age, Luka looks like an old 27. Austin Reeves looks like an old 26, 27, right? So we just don't have draft picks like these teams did. Like, we're not growing the players. The only time we've ever tried to grow players from a draft pick is when we had Lonzo, Brandon Ingram, Julius Randle, and we traded those guys away.
D'Lo, the 3 number 2s
right?
in a row.
So we traded those guys away. We got Anthony Davis, obviously won a championship. But it's hard with the NBA today and the way the CBA is you need to have this young talent out of the draft.
Yeah, I mean, a team like a San Antonio, Oklahoma City, and don't get me wrong, it's not easy because there's a lot of teams that have been in the cellar for years, but they have had the luxury, if you want to call it that, to be bad for 5 years or whatever, and unfortunately that just doesn't fly in LA, right? And so even though Lakers were pretty bad for 6 years before LeBron got there, so I can't say that it's not possible, but you just have to get creative in the draft. And even if you don't have the top, top 1, 2, 3, that you're, picking guys, mid, second round, late first round, guys that are just quality players. And so, you look at San Antonio, I mean, they're no longer kind of like an up and coming or a kind of a darling or surprise. Like they're like a flat out solid, contender in the West now. That's the way I see them. And they're peaking a little earlier than I thought. I mean, like I've talked about, I thought there would be a lot better this year and maybe be kind of like Houston of last year, OKC the year before. But I think they're kind of even better than those teams. I'm saying not currently, but like last year's Houston and OKC 3 years ago. But they're good.
Yeah, I mean, they are on a earlier timeline right now than those two teams that you're naming. Like they're just coming on the scene like super fast. Going from like not a playoff team to like the second seed is pretty damn phenomenal. Yeah. And we were thinking kind of going into the season that they're at least probably going to be a play-in team, but not necessarily a top 6 team. And they're kind of proven early on in the season that they belong. And likely they're going to be a hard out, especially because of the way they beat OKC, right? So if that's the team that's the number 1 standard, they beat them 3 times.
Yeah. I mean, like 2 to 6, and even 7 technically with Phoenix. It's pretty log jam there, and so it can kind of flip flop as the season progresses. But Lakers could get a 6 seed, and San Antonio can get a 3, and that's your first round matchup. That wouldn't be fun. It's going to be tough regardless. I can't think of a matchup that is going to be favorable, youth, even though I don't know, even though Lakers are not old, obviously it's skewed a little bit with LeBron's age. But it's just like, there's that athleticism and that young kind of up and coming talent that the team just doesn't have. And obviously they're solid 23-12. We've talked about many times, we'll take that record, but it's a little bit of the eye test, that's a little worrisome. And so, we'll see what kind of happens, moving forward here.
Yeah. I mean, I look for them to, over this next stretch of games, they're playing a lot of teams that are below 500, right? So they've been doing well with that, but they're at this point with the injuries kind of building up, they're playing 500 ball essentially. So if they can your goal at this point is at least stay 10 games above 500 like they have been. And they can kind of maintain that, get Austin Reeves back, get Rui back, get healthy with this team and kind of play together. Hopefully can lead to actually some wins against these good teams. But currently, Eric, have you looked at the standings?
Yeah, I was picking at it earlier.
Do you notice anything different with the top 8 teams on both conferences?
I know what I think I know what you're getting at. Is it something to do with maybe point differential? Yeah.
The Lakers are the only team in both conferences that have a negative point differential out of the top 8 seeds on both conferences.
But we clutch, baby.
But they're
Clutch down the
12-0 in the
stretch.
clutch. Like, make it make sense at this point. So you got a team that gives up more points than they score.
All losses are double digits, so there you go.
All losses are double digits. So to me, this team is fool's gold right now. You can't call this team a championship contender at this point.
Ooh, harsh words for sure. And I mean, it's hard for me to stick up for them other than, hey, like what your record is, hopefully. And that's typically the case, but it's hard. It's hard to say that if the playoffs started tomorrow and you got a first round matchup against Minnesota or San Antonio, as I talked about, Denver, I wouldn't feel really good about that series. And that's just the first round. So I think you got to get the 2 seed somehow, some way, play the play-in right team. And so hopefully like beating up on those bad teams, it kind of gets them there, but it's going to be tough.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a little afraid if this goes a little bit south that we end up back in that play-in.
Might be there.
And I mean, like in all reality, right? Phoenix is coming and they're in the number 7 seed, right? They're 22-15. They're eventually going to get Jalen Green back. So they're essentially, you're only 2 games out of that 7th seed, right? So a couple games here and there of losses, a couple wins from other teams, and you got to swing up to the 7th seed all of a sudden. So they're going to have to figure out why they're losing by double digits, right? Half it is because their defense is not that great against these big time teams, right? So they're just going to have to figure it out. I think get healthy. Definitely going to have to make a trade, but we'll see how it is as the season goes on.
Yeah, for a while there, it was the 6 to the 7 was pretty separated, and you kind of felt like, okay, at least for sure probably Lakers will be like in the playoffs without being in the play-in without an issue, but it's getting tighter now. And so you go on a 3-game losing streak, for example, or something like that, you're pretty much in play-in territory. And I said, like, I talked about, like, I just thought about it, like, for being second place, it might be tough. You might end up paying like the Golden State Warriors or something in the first round. Like, and right now, like, Warriors are just a word. Like, we haven't talked about them at all. And I think Warriors are the Warriors, like they always, or not always, or how they have been the last handful of regular seasons. But you just know, like, there'll be a tough out, right? Like a first round of a playoffs too. So
yeah, you don't really want to play Steph Curry first round. We all saw what happened with the 2 seed last year in those Houston, my Houston Rockets last year versus the Golden State. And we kind of knew what was going to happen in that series, but so you got to get it together. But speaking of trades, there was a trade today, Eric, and to me, this will go down as the lamest, most boring trade I've ever seen for a superstar in the NBA. I make it make sense to me.
I really had a feeling we talked about it obviously in the last show, and I think we're getting creative. And I even thought to myself, like, I think we're overthinking this. I think he's just going to go to like a bad team, because Washington was definitely rumored. And then you find out that it's his preferred destination, and then it moved quick. And so sometimes I think when you have a preferred destination, it kind of hurts the team a little bit in terms of like getting things in return. And to me, what it looked like is they wanted to get rid of Trae Young ASAP, and it didn't take much to do it.
How bad has Trae Young fallen off in Atlanta? Right? Because, I mean, you go back to the playoffs against the Knicks, ice cold, like the fans love him. And to number one, Atlanta didn't want you all of a sudden. Number two, your preferred destination is Washington. The Wizards. I mean, okay, to me, that tells me you don't necessarily care about winning.
Right.
Number two, obviously you want to get paid, which is, you're right, and everybody wants to get paid in this league. But correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think he has any ties to the DC area or like any connection with the coaches, anything that would make sense to really demand to go somewhere, especially in a season that you possibly will become a free agent the next year, and you can opt out of your contract. You would think you would want to go to a playoff contender so you can kind of show your worth. Right now, you're going to be playing on a bottom dwelling team.
Yeah.
And how are you showing your worth with that team? So to me, I don't get it. If you can make it more sense for me, I appreciate it, Eric.
Yeah, I really can't make sense of it. It just seems like going to like, Atlanta hasn't been, they're showing promise, and they got a lot of young, some decent good young players, and they're kind of making moves, but they made the Eastern Conference Finals, like kind of in 2021. It was surprise, right, that they would get there. But since then, they've just been very mediocre, making the play-in, things of that nature. And so I think he's just going like to a similar situation where maybe he elevates, Washington a little bit, right? They got some young guys too. But yeah, I don't see, other than like him wanting to go somewhere and put up numbers, which he's already done anyways. And I think the league knows that, yes, you could probably be on a not so good team and put up numbers. I don't think we have to see that. We know that you can do that. Let's see you in clutch games. Let's see you in big playoff moments, which he's had some, but not as of late. And I don't know. There was, I guess, an executive that drafted, right? That must have been in Atlanta. Some executive drafted Trae Young that is now with Washington. But was that executive with? Because he was traded, right? So I wonder if that executive was with Dallas, or I have no idea. But let's see. Young is also reunited with Wizards executive Travis Schlenk, who drafted him number 5. I mean, if Travis Schlenk is the reason, and I'm so sorry if I'm butchering your name, if Travis Schlenk is the reason why
don't give me that. Don't give me that. You're trying to go to the Wizards for Travis Schlenk. I mean,
yeah, like, am I saying it right? I hope, Sorry,
but my thing is like, Schlenk. He hasn't been able to bring Atlanta like out of this funk they've been in the last couple of years out of play-in.
Yes, sir.
You're not going to resurrect that in Washington. How are you gonna do that in Washington? Like, man, I just don't. I don't like the trade. I mean, I thought there's some better fits for him to play along with some better stars and things like that. But I mean, hey, that was his preferred destination, and he was ready to get on out and get into the DC area. So.
Yeah, Luka and Trae Young, who were traded for each other on draft day, were traded in back-to-back years, and kind of rather quickly, and so I don't know. It tells me that there wasn't much probably feelers out there. I mean, maybe some teams will come out and say, "Hey, we would have gave you more," but there was not much. I take it, because to get the guys they got, no disrespect to CJ McCollum, he's been a good player, but he's obviously has seen better days, right? In terms of an NBA player. I really just think it was just getting him off the squad, unloading his, salary, I guess, for next year, and just starting fresh.
Yeah,
trying to build with the team they got now.
I mean, they're going to create some, cap space and things like that. We're getting an expiring contract out of CJ, and Atlanta has some great young rookies, right, or young players, right? Jalen Johnson's great, and they have some of the other guys that have just been playing so well. And so I get that from their standpoint. If you're really going to get off them, get off them. I just, are you surprised there's not a draft pick in this trade? Or is that just because he's likely going to opt out? Or because even people that are traded like a young player in a, close to all-star, superstar status, usually there's some sort of compensation there, not just like a 34-year-old veteran.
Yeah, I think if it was a better team, you may have seen a draft pick, because you obviously with Washington, they're like, hey, we're going to probably not be very good, so that pick's going to be probably solid. But yeah, you would think it would have been maybe not a next year or year after a first round pick, but maybe down the line, something. I mean, I guess not. When you see, it's just trades are just, interesting because you see like guys get traded and there's 5 first-round picks, but I think it just depends how many draft picks a team has, right? And so if you know a team has like 10 first-round picks, you're going to go after them. And yeah, so I think that's a little bit of that. But yeah, I mean, as you said, they both teams do have some young talent. Funny thing about Atlanta is they probably could have when did they have their first pick? Was that a couple years ago?
Yeah, when they got
they probably went the
rookie
wrong choice there, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't think he's going to turn out to be that good.
Yeah. Like who got picked second? It was Washington picked Alex
Sarr.
Yeah,
Sarr.
He's been better, right?
He's okay. Yeah, I mean,
he's not like
I don't think they're that wasn't the greatest draft class.
It was tough, and they weren't even really supposed to get the first pick. I think they had like the 10th odds or something to get the first pick, kind of like Dallas, But
yeah, but I don't know if we were talking about this before, like, well, would the Lakers trade for him? But if I would have known you could trade him for a bag of chips, I would have traded for Trae Young,
Gabe Vincent, and
Bando, or whatever it would be. Like, I would have traded that in 2 seconds.
Obviously, there's the whole contract and all that, and that's
just for a rental for this year. Even if he's like, if
young, is he signed next year too, or
he is, but he has a player option.
He's got a player option this summer.
So he can come out of inside a new one, if he wants to. Otherwise, he gets $49 million, right?
So part of it too might be that he's gonna if he wants to get paid, right, like more than he already has, he's gonna want to go somewhere where they have cap space and they're probably gonna pay him, right? Like, what is Washington? Washington's not gonna attract a bunch of free agents and things like that.
Yeah, they'll be able to pay him.
So I think that is part of it too. Like, sure, he could have gone to some teams that we mentioned, but then he would have been an unrestricted free agent, and there's probably like less money he on the table versus a Washington team extending him. So I'm sure there was a little bit of that, right? His agent kind of, giving him, feedback around that, or kind of letting him know what if you go there, right? Sure, you might do some winning, but it's probably going to hurt you contract wise. So
yeah.
There's probably a little bit of that too. It makes no sense, but I guess it doesn't if we're talking, his next contract.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I love Trae. I love his game. He's a guy that, typically averages 25 and 10. There's at times where he felt he was a little disrespected in this league.
Yep.
But in my opinion, after this trade, that's what the league's value was of Trae Young. Otherwise, you would have had a lot of teams calling, trying to give up some picks to get a talented player like Trae. And I don't know when or how fast that timeline, that status has changed on him, but I didn't think it was going to change that fast. And there might be things we just don't know, like what stuff's going on in the locker room or some other things that we just might not be aware of. Yep. But to me, I am shocked a little bit that there wasn't more of a push from other teams to trade for him, unless he was really just not willing to go to good teams, which is weird. So
yeah, I mean, obviously different from the Lucas situation where it just happened just without anybody knowing.
Yeah.
This was kind of announced that they're looking for trade partners, and so you would think they would kind of wait for the right deal. But yeah, someone tells me they just want to get it done. No matter how they were going to do it, they weren't going to be compensated really for it. They're just going to get out of his contract, right? And maybe create some space for them for next year. So yeah, it's definitely fallen rather quick, as you could see with what they got in return.
Absolutely. All right, so let's get a little bit in the show on LeBron and kind of this back-to-back situation and what we know. And got a 41-year-old LeBron James who's actually been ramping up into a pretty damn good player right now. Because in the beginning of the season, it was looking like, he looks a little bit older. You got to remember he didn't have a preseason. He kind of came into the season. He missed the first 14 games, needed a couple weeks, started ramping up his minutes. And you can see now, he's averaging 25 or so over the last 10. And you can tell that his game is definitely still there.
Yeah.
He's still athletic, and he's still jumping out of the gym somehow. Like, I don't know if you saw that shot the other day of the lob he caught, but his head was way above the rim. And to me, he's battling father time, but he's doing a hell of a good job of it. What do you make of him likely not playing back-to-backs, or do you think there'll be a chance at all?
I was just looking at them. I was thinking maybe if there was like a home and home back-to-back, but I don't, just looking at like a real fast, like I don't see any. I don't believe they have like 5 or 6, I think, left. But I think also too, most of those back-to-backs are like 3 games and 4 nights as well. So you're kind of thinking about like, okay, he plays back-to-back, just 1 day of rest and then another game. And so, I think we just gotta deal with the fact that he's gonna, at least at a minimum, miss 5 or 6 more games due to a back-to-back. And so, it is what it is. Like, if we're depending on him in those back-to-backs, hopefully, like at that point when there's because there's actually 2 more this month, I believe, and obviously Austin Reeves won't be there for that, so it's going to be tough sledding a couple of those games, And so, I mean, other than that, obviously he's starting to pick up, I think, a little bit. Obviously, he's scoring a little bit more. He has to with Austin Reeves out. But there's no back-to-backs in the playoffs, so I don't really see him playing one unless it's like end of the season and then they're seeding on the line or something like that,
Yeah. My concern with LeBron, obviously, is just that he's 41 years old, and it seems that the Lakers seasons typically go the same, right? Start off, LeBron kind of ramps up. He's playing super well. Then a star gets injured. Usually it was AD. This year's it's Austin Reeves. He's out for an extended period of time, which means there's more on LeBron again. Even though we have Luka, right? That's taking a lot of it. But there's just more on him. And then so he starts playing hard. Then you get to February and March, and that's when you start to see a little bit of breakdown from him the last couple of years. And then going into the playoffs, it just, what version of LeBron are you really going to get in the playoffs? So that's always been my concern kind of the last couple of years. And I think that's still a valid concern and still a problem going into this year's playoffs. And why, if I'm Rob Pelinka, it makes it more of an urgency to get somebody that can be essentially like LeBron, right? Like that size, that athletic, that ability to play defense and also be able to score. And so I think they're going to have to look for somebody like that. I did see, it was funny because they were always talking about Herb Jones, but man, that Trey Murphy, I was like, I didn't realize what size he was and like his ability to score. He's averaging 20 points. He's super athletic and play defense. He's about 6'7", 6'8", I think. Yeah. And so like somebody like that, right? Like that would be a player that would make such a huge difference on this Lakers squad.
Yeah, I feel like last night was like a little bit of a tryout because he was balling last night for sure. He's averaging 21 points on the season. It's pretty respectful. And so, I mean, they're going to need it. I think I was looking at the schedule. So the Lakers that do have a late March, have a back-to-back home and home against Washington and Cleveland. So, maybe something like that. Maybe he plays those. But, in the playoffs, you have the first round that could be potentially spread out a little bit. And then the finals is usually kind of spread out. But those middle rounds, you pretty much are playing every other day. And so no back-to-backs, but it's a grind, right? There's not much of that 2 days off, 3 days off, how it is in the first round. It's kind of how it's been the last several years. And now even like, it's funny because like you're thinking about it like 5-6 years ago, we thought like LeBron was like, oh man, he's aging. But like thinking about it, shoot, we would take like a 36, 37-year-old LeBron right now, right? I mean, he's, he would be that much better. But it is what it is. That's just what we got going right now. It's not going to be able to play those back-to-backs, it looks like. Or at least he's going to see how he feels, right? And I mean, he like he said, it's going to always be a kind of a game time decision when it comes to that.
I mean, it's likely the best choice that he does not play those games because a lot of them are 3 nights and 3 games in 4 nights, right?
Yeah.
So you just don't want the cumulative effect of him playing a back to back, and is it really worth it? Especially if they lose some of these games to some of these big teams, right? So I think you're probably better off not having him play and just relying more on Luka, and then hopefully when Austin gets back there. But I think at this point, we just got to appreciate what LeBron is doing, man. He's 41 years old, never been done before. There's never been somebody that looks this athletic at this age. I mean, heck, what did Vince Carter average at his last season? What did he average? 6, maybe 7 points or something like that. So, yeah, we never really seen it.
Yeah, I think we even talked about it. Like, Kareem in his last year, he averaged 10 points. 10 points, 4 rebounds, 22 minutes, 23 minutes, and so pretty remarkable. But I think what comes with that is just making smart decisions and not playing them back to back, not, playing 3 games in 4 nights, and just kind of dealing with, the cards that are dealt. And hopefully for a lot of those, we'll have Reeves, right? And so that'll help out. And hopefully if they add a piece or two, that'll help out.
For sure. All right, guys. Live recap. Lakers lose again, double digits for the 12th time, all 12 losses by double digits. They are now giving up more points than they are scoring, and we have a problem. Eric, you got anything else before you get out of here?
Other than, next 4 games, you got a home against Milwaukee, you got at Sacramento, home against Atlanta, home against Charlotte, at Portland. So that's the next 5 games. And so just gotta keep going to work on those teams, right? And it doesn't mean stop, right? You gotta if you're gonna beat them, you gotta continue to beat those teams and at least go 4-1 or so in that stretch. But yeah, other than that, no, I think that'll do it.
All right, everybody. That wraps up the show tonight. Nice little live show reaction. And we will be back on soon. But until then, the Hoops Rehab team is out. Peace out, guys.
Peace out.